After the collapse of the Carolingian Empire around 850, political authority in much of Western Europe disintegrated. For roughly a century and a half, kingship remained weak, fragmented, and unstable. Yet by the year 1000, rulers in several regions had begun cautiously attempting to restore order and reassert royal authority. Over the next 200 years, European kingdoms experimented with different ways of rebuilding power. In this series of lectures, we will explore those efforts between 1000 and 1200, beginning with the region where political recovery first made significant progress: Germany. By Germany, we mean the eastern portion of Charlemagne's empire, the lands east of the Rhine River. This region developed political structures distinct from those found in France or England, shaped by deep-rooted traditions of independence and an unusually powerful feudal aristocracy. Medieval Germany was governed through feudalism, but its feudal system had features that set it apart from its neighbours. The territory was divided into several large feudal states, each ruled by a powerful lord supported by many vassals. Some of these rulers descended from counts originally appointed by Charlemagne, while others traced their authority even further back to the tribal chiefs of the ancient Germanic peoples who had ruled independently before Frankish conquest. These ancient rulers were remembered as stem dukes, and the regions they governed, stem duchies, retained a strong sense of identity. Each stem duchy possessed its own local customs, its own legal traditions, and often its own dialect of German. Loyalty to the stem dukes was intense and deeply rooted, reinforced by memories of pre-Carolingian independence. As feudalism spread, these loyalties only grew stronger because the dukes became the main overlords, the suzerains of their regions. Germany did have a king who, in theory, ruled the entire realm. In practice, however, royal authority was severely limited. There was no strong tradition of loyalty to the king and no institutions capable of enforcing obedience. A German king could act only with the cooperation of the stem dukes, and they seldom agreed among themselves. Even so, the king held several advantages. Under feudal law, he stood at the top of the feudal hierarchy as overlord of the other nobles who owed him certain duties. Moreover, the king was usually himself a stem duke, possessing lands and vassals in his own territory who would fight for him when necessary. These advantages, however, were offset by a critical weakness. The king was elected. The stem dukes elected the king, forcing candidates to bargain for their support and grant concessions in exchange for votes. Consequently, one of the long-term goals of German kings was to make the monarchy hereditary. A hereditary crown would reduce dependence on the dukes and build loyalty around a single ruling family. While the throne often passed from father to son, owing to the medieval emphasis on family, this system collapsed whenever a king died without a male heir. In such cases, elections resumed, rival candidates competed violently, and civil wars frequently followed. Because of this instability, effective kingship in Germany depended almost entirely on personal ability. The first ruler to overcome these challenges was Otto I, known as Otto the Great. Otto's central problem was how to control the powerful dukes. His solution was innovative and decisive. He used the church as a political tool. Throughout medieval Europe, bishops and archbishops were major landholders. They governed benefices, commanded vassals, and served as judges and administrators. Unlike secular lords, however, churchmen possessed two crucial advantages. They were generally better educated, making them more effective administrators, and they were celibate, which meant their offices were not hereditary. Any king who controlled church appointments controlled the land, loyalty, and power attached to those offices. Although church law stipulated that bishops should be elected by local clergy, Otto insisted that royal approval was required. Over time, he gained effective control over all major episcopal appointments in Germany. These bishops became his vassals rather than the dukes, providing him with loyal administrators and strengthening royal authority across the realm. Otto's greatest foreign success came in Italy. After Charlemagne's death, northern Italy had fragmented into competing states, including the Papal States. In 961, when one Italian ruler attacked Rome, Otto crossed the Alps, defeated the aggressors, and brought northern Italy under his control. In gratitude, Pope John XII crowned Otto Roman Emperor in 962. For the next 9 centuries, German kings would also hold the imperial title, and their realm came to be known as the Holy Roman Empire. Otto's coronation, however, created an uneasy relationship between emperors and popes. Because Rome lay within imperial territory, emperors claimed the right to influence papal elections, and for a time they succeeded. Yet powerful popes could become political rivals, forming alliances with rebellious nobles to weaken imperial control. This tension between empire and papacy would dominate medieval German politics. Despite Otto's achievements, royal authority in Germany remained fragile. Later rulers attempted to expand their power by claiming rights such as taxation, minting coinage, and issuing legal judgments, but they consistently failed to transform these powers into permanent institutions. Dynasties regularly died out, forcing new elections and triggering civil wars that weakened the monarchy further. At the same time, emperors were repeatedly distracted by Italian affairs, neglecting the consolidation of authority north of the Alps. The empire reached its height under Frederick Barbarossa, a formidable ruler and gifted general. Frederick might have unified Germany had he concentrated his efforts there. Instead, he devoted much of his energy to Italy. By the 12th century, northern Italian cities had grown prosperous and fiercely defended their autonomy. When Frederick tried to impose imperial authority, they formed the Lombard League to resist him. Pope Alexander III, one of the strongest popes of the Middle Ages, also opposed Frederick, fearing imperial domination of the Church. Frederick suffered repeated setbacks in Italy, weakening his overall position. Though he maintained influence over Germany, much of his power rested on military force and personal leadership rather than permanent institutions. After Frederick's death, the political structure rapidly unraveled. His son, Henry VI, focused almost entirely on Italy and died young, leaving only a minor heir. A disputed election followed, plunging Germany into another prolonged civil war. During the conflict, Pope Innocent III, the most powerful pope of the medieval era, intervened skillfully to strengthen papal authority and delay imperial recovery. When a new emperor finally emerged after more than a decade of struggle, the German monarchy had been permanently weakened. No later ruler would ever regain the power once wielded by Otto the Great or Frederick Barbarossa.